Ram, I'm the tech news editor of Gadget Pilipinas. Joining me is, of course, our editor-in-chief, Emman, PC lead Grant Soriano, and news writer Migs Palispace. How's everyone doing? Kumusta kayo?
Ayos lang, sir.
Hello. How are things? How are you guys handling the heat? It's been extremely hot and
Grabe.
humid. Is it aircon time?
Always ang kilikili.
In my case, hindi kaya ng aircon ko kasi I have 2 PCs and 3 laptops. Left and right. Tapos pag naka-aircon sa tanghali, para lang ako naka-electric fan.
Parang
sobrang
pala
init.
dyan.
Parang kawawa yung aircon mo dyan eh.
Actually,
Pantipugon.
hindi ko naisip to get a higher aircon to accommodate extra heat generating appliances.
So ilang horsepower yung yung aircon mo?
My current one, wala pang 1 year to, I bought an Extreme 1 HP. So siguro with all the PC, yeah, 1.5 ata kailangan ko for all the devices.
Probably 2, I'm guessing. Especially since you're benchmarking and everything. Yikes.
So may heater tayo, RGB heater on my right for those watching the live stream.
For those listening in, just to give you a bit of a visual, Grant right now has his PC to his right, of course, with this Tim Hortons cup of coffee.
Yes, of course. Lagi yan, hanggang mapansin tayo Tim Hortons.
Of course. Meanwhile, Emman has, are those new headsets? Is that a new headset, sir?
No. Hindi. Tagal na to. Yeah, I don't usually use it kasi for stream. But, yeah. So right now, sinubukan ko lang for change.
Why not, diba?
Yeah.
There are the options.
Mm-hmm.
Migs, anong balita sa'yo?
Naman, sir. Puro sulat lang.
Puro sulat pati recording sessions. Let's go.
Oh, mga ganun. Let's go.
Let's go. So tonight, if you guys haven't seen our post on Facebook and on YouTube, we'll be talking about the new Google security policy and the SIM card registration bill in the Philippines, which has been vetoed by President Duterte. The latter, I'd like to preface before we get into anything, we are not experts by any stretch of the imagination on bills and laws. So what we will be sharing for tonight are merely our opinions on the bill and and the things that went down with the bill. So before we get to that, so ito fresh from the news grill. Google recently updated their policy that allows you to request the removal of more of your contact information from Google search. What previously, prior to this update, all you could ask from Google is to remove information that you can find on Google search. Things like your bank account or credit card numbers or anything that could be used in financial fraud. Now the update also includes things like phone number, email addresses, physical addresses, and whatever that can be used for identity theft. Yeah, it's I guess I personally wrote this article. If you guys want to check it out, it's on gadgetpilipinas.net. In my head, as I was writing this, I was like, bakit ngayon lang?
Oh.
Wasn't this something that should have been there all this entire time? Just to add a bit more context for that. If you request, Google will evaluate whether information doesn't limit the availability of information, and public record. So we're talking like if it's on the news, on a news site, and it's useful for that news, or let's say it's on a government website or a public record, um, Google will most likely not take it down for obvious reasons. So it's not entirely removing it, and also Google has specifically clarified that just because they remove it from Google search, it is not removed from the internet entirely. So if it's on a website, it's better if you guys message the owner of that site to take it down. But for example, because a lot of people use Google search, this makes a lot of sense for me, and I honestly think it should have been released way earlier in the entire lifespan of Google. What do you guys think? What's your take on this?
Yeah,
Wants to
dapat
go?
dapat mas matagal na nila ginawa 'to. Tsaka mas natuwa ako dun sa part na pwedeng i-request na alisin yung mga pictures ng mga taong below 18.
Yep. But actually makes a lot of sense also, like, better late than never, I guess, but how much damage has it already done, like, prior to this, right? I there are a lot of questions in my mind, like, why only now? Is it because is it only because they received a lot of feedback regarding this? Was there not feedback prior to this? Like, has any of you experienced this? Like, seen your number on the Google or like your address
Actually,
specifically?
ako when I receive random calls,
Hmm.
first first thing that I do is to either send 1 peso on GCash to see if it's to see if it's a person I know.
Mhm.
And then number two is to search for the number. So madalas walang naka-register on both sides.
Mhm.
So I automatically flag it on my phone as parang scammer call.
Mhm.
And I think this type of service, yung removal of search engine stuff, pero not explicitly na website content, kunyari if it's on a blog or something. I
Mhm.
think ino-offer to dati ng mga ibang parang privacy company mga services. I think
Mhm.
yung most common clients ng mga ganito are artists, 'di ba? For example, pag may scandal, ang bilis mawala nung mga photos or videos,
Mhm.
pero nandun pa rin siya sa website. Mahirap lang siya ma-search sa Google, 'di ba?
Yeah.
So, I think it's a good thing na it's accessible to everyone na, but
Yeah.
uh but I'm concerned about on how accessible it is. So, if I need something, how do I request it to be taken down,
Mhm.
or at least man lang parang how to explain this?
Gaano katagal bago
Gaano
alisin?
katagal? Yeah. How long does it take to be to reflect, 'di ba, on the search engine?
Yeah.
Oo.
So either of those two.
Actually, that's also one thing that I thought of. Like, how long will it with a how long will the evaluation take for the company for Google to go through the process? Because let's say there's a lot of people that's gonna submit and everything. How long is it gonna take? Is it automated? Is it manual? How does that work
Annually
exactly?
reviewed, yeah.
Yeah, because I think the best example I can think of right now is I play a lot of video games, like multiplayer video games, and sometimes like you report someone for like toxic behavior, and that sometimes takes forever. Sometimes doesn't really kick in. Like, is it the same for Google? I hope not, because this is actual information that um, is important to
Meron.
be taken off. Uh, I don't think they mentioned the specifics of these in the release article. I would be interested to find out. And what's your take on this? Sorry, Emman.
Well, first of all, I don't know, since I use Bing anyway.
I did.
Dropping bombs.
1%. I did
That's
not expect that.
the joke lang. I mean, it's when I do kasi it's the default search engine for tawag
Microsoft
doon,
For
Edge.
Edge.
Flourish. So
Yeah.
hindi ko pa siya napapalitan. Pero so and anyway, I mean it's good to know that you are able to know. It's important din naman kasi talaga that you at least you now have that option.
Yeah.
It's probably long overdue, but at least we have it na. No? At least there's an option. No? Again, there are many questions naman talaga that people will probably, of course, ask. No?
Mhm.
How long or what it's gonna take. No?
Yeah.
Ano ba yung kailangan? What is there a particular form that you'd have to go process that you have to go to? Obviously, there is. No?
Yeah.
And obviously, it's not a guarantee. No? Na that it will get removed. It will still depend on whether that information is actually something na really private information. No? I think I read about it earlier.
Mhm.
There is a criteria na ginagamit no for that. So it's not really a guarantee. No? When you request, it gets removed. Siya,
Mhm.
it's not automatic. So how they're gonna do that? I would assume that there's some human element to that, and there's also some AI element to that.
Mhm.
Just like how they would always do things. So, anyway, gano'n naman eh. That today, gano'n naman, no? Karamihan naman ng maraming process na yung automated, no? Na meron ng
Mhm.
AI involved. So, uh, probably there's gonna be some of that involved. But yeah, I mean, it's good to have it. It's a good to have.
That's true.
And ayun, at least you can do it for the search engine. No? Wala ka naman na magagawa kung nandun na yan sa website ng kung sino mong website. Obviously, you have to contact the
Mhm.
website owner dahil wala namang control si Google dun eh. Di
Mhm.
ba? That's their site, no? Hindi naman sila, so,
Nagkakakulit lang si Google.
yeah. So, I guess, it's a good thing to have. While overdue, but it's a good thing to have. No, it's a step forward.
Definitely.
So hopefully we can, I guess, get more details on it. I believe there are specifics naman na somewhere. I believe dun sa press release ni Google I'm not sure if there was a link there to another place where
Mhm.
you could actually do it. No? But hopefully we get more information from that because uh, it's gonna be very helpful for a lot of people, lalo na sa mga tao na ano ba, yung mga popular.
That's true. That's very true.
Yung mga
So
yung mga sikat na na
so parang si Emman Toytosa.
hindi ako sikat. So, ako. Pero I mean, para doon sa mga ganun,
Yeah.
if they're part of that kind of that crowd, no?
Mhm.
Na usually yan yung mga out na talaga lahat ng information.
Yeah.
Open, karamihan ng info nila out that, you at least would wanna remove that from the search engines.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But then again, when you're popular, sigurado na yan nasa website na yun.
Oo.
But yeah, so I guess the bottom line is it's good to have. No? It's good to have, although overdue. It's still a good step in the right direction.
That's true. I agree. For those that are watching the live stream, GN has the site where you can put in a request for removal. Also, before you get into that, hello to Louis Jangson and OMG Louis, who are watching the stream. How's everyone doing?
Yung mga Louis.
Yes,
The,
dalawang
Lu-
Louis ang
Hello.
the,
nasa
the, the
Hello, hello.
Louis.
Louis.
The Louis.
So the website that is being shown right now is there's actually a good description of things like requirements to remove personally identifiable info include stuff
I
like
hope
yeah, go ahead.
I hope the requirements aren't ridiculous.
I
Y-
mean
yung
I
tipong hihingan ka ng government ID to get a
May
government
NBI
ID.
clearance.
Ay, alam mo yan, yung mga ganun na
okay, you need it's actually it seems to be pretty simple. I think the bigger problem here is there's no there's no clear way to get here. How I got here is I went through the original article I read from Google
there was a
and they
link.
linked it from there, right?
Yeah,
But
I saw it on there.
if you're not reading that article and you're on Google search and you find your information, I wish they added a way for people to report that easily, right?
Maybe that's
Um,
maybe that's our that's why we're here.
yeah, the
Uh,
to suggest these things, baka naman Google.
yeah, or maybe to make a tutorial on how to do it, no?
That's true.
That can be a good content, no?
Yeah, that's
Ah,
true.
yeah.
Uh,
Alam mo naman eh, pag Google, siyempre baka iniisip nila, ano, kaya nyo na yan, i-search nyo na lang. Oh, di ba more traffic?
baka
Di
baka
ba more
pwedeng
traffic?
baka pwedeng ipakita ni GM sa Week
More,
Intake, 'di ba? Mga ganun.
more traffic. Ay, ganyan.
'Di ba? Pero I think there should be a simpler way for people to do it because let's say I find my name online, I don't like it. It's like not supposed to be there. And I'm not a popular person, nor do I know these kinds of things. Like how do I get it done? Gets I
Yeah.
think I think it's a feature that Google should like integrate into their to the search engine. Like if they're gonna add something like this, they probably should make it easier to find like a
Uh,
report button.
yeah, that's one side, no? But
Hmm.
also one thing you have to look at is how you have to think as Google, then how this feature will be abused, no?
Yeah, I agree.
By people. No? Obviously, there are uh well, I don't think their system is weak, but
Hmm.
alam mo naman ngayon, people can find a way to spam and spam and spam and spam away,
Mm-hmm.
no requests and stuff. So maybe they're debating on it pa on their
Yeah,
end, no?
I agree.
As to where do you put it? Kasi if you put it in a na sobrang accessible, no, to everyone, no,
Mm.
that and without pag wala kang I don't think ganun sila, but pag wala kang enough security measures, the system can be abused, no?
Mm. I agree.
So baka they're in baka they're in discussion.
Maybe.
uh, but yun nga,
Anong
is there like parang doesn't Facebook have something similar? They do, right? When you check on your privacy settings,
yeah, but I think
I
it's
think
way
you
easier on Facebook, but because it's a social media platform, which is
Hmm.
slightly more
you
different and kind of needs it.
you can like sort of turn off your parang hindi ka ma-search.
Yeah, I
Yeah, you cannot be searched even
Even in
dun sa
Messenger.
in even I think even sa browser. I mean, parang
Yes, hide my identity outside Facebook. Meron.
may ganung option eh, if I remember correctly.
or you could just
So
be like Grant, biglang na biglang nawawala.
so
Nawala
Buriano
nung
eh.
nahanap.
Grant
uh,
May
Buriano.
alter.
mm, so yeah, hopefully the implementation is gonna be nice then.
Improved.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I totally get uh your point. Na it should be, but I don't know. I think it should be a bit easier to go to. But who knows? Maybe it's something Google's figuring out right now. maybe they're not focusing on on it. No, I mean, it took them forever to to implement this.
Yeah, and I would understand, no,
Mm.
why, because it's not, it's very easy for us to say that, gawin niyo yan, gawin niyo yan, gawin
Mm.
niyo yan, no. But the truth is, if you actually build something like this, no, then there's a lot of risks involved, no.
Mm.
So it's not gonna be parang I guess it takes a lot of, just like with any system, no,
Mhm.
that's new. It'll take a lot of planning and a lot of testing on ano. So ayun, it's sort of overdue, but yeah, you
But
also
then
have
it's
to,
never.
you also have to take into consideration what it takes to build something like this, no.
Yeah, I
Kasi
agree.
at the end of the day, ikaw rin yung sila rin yung magiging on the hook
Mm.
if magkaroon ng breach of privacy, no?
Yeah.
Dahil the information that you will, lalagay mo dito and stuff, no? Pwedeng, pwedeng kumalat yan and everything. Naman ngayon. So, ayun. So, hopefully, they sort it out, no? Sort it
I
out,
agree.
make it accessible enough, no? Ayan. And hopefully it's a secured system that people can trust.
This is coming from your from your programmer days. Programmer nga ba?
Yeah. I mean, uh, many times yeah, if you see kasi how software is built, at
Yeah.
least from back
Yeah.
then. Back then talaga yan.
Back
So
then.
back then.
1990.
Kasi
But
I mean, so many,
Kakalaman na.
alam naman kasi natin how software and tech evolves, no? It's so fast, no? That yun nga, sabi nga, 'di ba? So in one video, sabi nga, whatever you learn in school will be outdated by the time you graduate, 'di ba?
that's
So
valid.
parang yeah, that's what's happening, no? That's what happened basically to me, no? And ayun, that I can at least say that it takes so many things to build even a very simple system, no? And of course that's not seen by the users, so that's not their job to see that. But yun nga, obviously you have to make sure your ass is covered.
Yeah.
So ayun. So hopefully this goes well.
There's a comment from Henry Ansel Allen. He says, enjoying the discussion, guys. Thanks for dropping by. How you doing? He says, in
Shout
my
out,
opinion,
Henry.
as a company whose business case is to collect and sell data, it's probably in Google's best interest to make it hard for you to remove your data. That also makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
That yeah. hmm Like I guess I'm only thinking of it as a consumer and as a user,
Yep.
rather than of a business, like as a company that needs stuff.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah, that's what actually makes
And you know what? I kind of appreciate the different policies in the many different countries of the world. Like I know of countries that have very strict what is it? Uh, like when it comes to violence in video games, I think there are some countries that are very specific about that. It makes it harder for like game developers to release their games, but it also makes it a bit more interesting and
Oh no,
uh,
ako na yung nagpipixelate. Oh yes.
and
There's,
rainbow puke kind of
there's a glitch in the matrix.
yeah. ibang Emman nilalabas.
Google doesn't want us to discuss
Oh
the
no.
topic.
Yan na, sinasabotahin na tayo ng Google.
Okay, hindi na,
Ayaw nyo
ano,
pala, ha?
kaya Bing talaga ako eh. Bing talaga. Bing talaga.
Bing bong. Ay, sorry.
Bing.
out of since we're on discussion of what is it? Search engines. Do you guys use Echo Asia? Echo the one that you plant trees every time you search. I forgot the name.
May ganun pala, di ko
Ang
alam.
dami ng ganun before.
Echo siya. Sorry. Echo siya is the one that yeah.
Isang tree pero kapalit 3 servers. Wala din.
Oh, I mean, at least may puno.
Parang yung keyboard na may grass.
Ayan na yung matrix.
Ayan na.
Yung
Nag-i-evolve
keyboard
na si
na
Sir
may
Emman.
grass. Ibang Emman na yan. Nako!
Thank you for commenting, Henry.
Anyway, one thing that you can also it's probably another topic for another day. But one thing that you can parang derive from it is parang is there a need for like one central governing body that would establish the rule of the internet, no?
Well, yun.
'Di ba? Kasi unregulated, 'di ba?
Yeah.
The internet is a free space. So
Yep.
so walang regulation na nangyayari. So it sort of begs the discussion as to whether there should be one established set of rules, no?
Yeah.
Yeah. But then again, that's a topic for that's gonna be a long discussion. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Ganito, if the viewers and the listeners want us to have that discussion on maybe the next episode or like
Oh,
sometime this season, go let us know.
Yeah.
The discussion, the topic will be like, should there be one governing body over the internet? I think that can literally blow up one whole episode in itself, and it still wouldn't be enough time for like everyone's discussion, right? So if you want that to happen, do let us know on our social media accounts, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Did I mention YouTube? Gadget Pilipinas. Go message us. Leave a comment in our article. In their shared articles on Facebook. You know, kulitin nyo kami. Tell us, hoy, nasa na yung discussion nyo tungkol sa governing body sa internet. And we'll definitely set us up.
That came out of nowhere. Yun. Okay talaga pag bagong gising ka. May mga
That's true. In case you guys didn't know, he just Mr. Emma just woke up, and I can tell it in his voice, and it's
Yun na,
sexy.
may naisip
Bedroom
ka
voice. Bedroom voice.
pa siya.
Ulala.
This is what happens when your sleep is messed up.
Messed up.
So you randomly sleep throughout the day.
As long as you get your sleep, good sir. As long as you get good sleep.
Yeah.
Grant, is there anything you'd like to add before we move on?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Excited ako actually for the next topic, which
Yeah, mukhang nag-research ka. I saw.
yes. Parang mahabang pang explaining yung kailangan just to be sure that we get all areas covered.
Yeah.
But ayun,
I agree. Because Grant has mentioned it, I think we'll be moving on. But again, before we move on to this, for those that'll be listening in on the podcast, I'd like to clarify that we're not law or bill experts. Like we'll try to cover as much of the topic as we can. But we'll be giving our opinion on the matter at hand. You know, this isn't any proper legal opinion or whatever. Just want to put it out there because mahirap na. Just wanna, as Emman said a while ago, we gotta cover our asses, you know? So the next topic, which I think is even more interesting, is that President Rodrigo Duterte recently vetoed the SIM card registration act. For those that are unfamiliar, it is a bill that was filed both in the Senate and the Congress. In a nutshell, it basically forces people to register the name to a SIM card. I think it was mainly filed to mainly filed to battle the fraud and other communication related crimes. Beef. Grant, would you like to give an overhead? Is that something you're comfortable in?
For the bill, I think ikaw na, but I'd like to explain first yung how a bill gets passed. Okay, so
Okay, sige.
The author of the bill, Lauren Legardo, was it? Tama ba? Or I think marami siyang several co-authors.
Yeah,
So,
maraming.
so of course, sa mga nag-ano sa atin, Civica/Hekasi sa
Yeah.
ating elementary and high school,
Yep.
the government body has three parts. You have the executive, legislative, and the judicial. Now, how a bill gets passed is that dadaan mo na siya sa legislative section, which is the Congress and the Senate. So the lower house, you have the Congress, and then of course the upper house, the Senate. So before it goes to the president, it should be presented first in the Congress, no, and then there will be readings for several days, depending on how hard the bill is or how complex it is. But uh, the Congress need to have a total vote of at least 2/3 for it to get passed to the Senate. Then from uh, the Senate will conduct public hearings and of course consult with other key experts, which will also air their side on the hearing before it gets passed. Now, once it passes through the Senate, I think it's 60% for the Senate, or basically 2/3.
Mhm.
It goes to the president. Now, if the president doesn't see any problems with it, or it's okay with him, then he can sign. But if he doesn't like the bill, or if he wants something there to be revised, the president can use his power of veto. So power of veto is that the president shall have the power to veto any particular item or items in appropriation, revenue, or bill, but the veto shall not affect the item or items to which he does not object. So basically, you will go back to step one. So yung bill that should be signed will go back to the Congress and will require certain revisions. Now it's up to the author, I think, if he or she wants to pass the bill again, but it will again require another 2/3 vote, no, concerning the changes. And then, of course, when it gets passed, aakyat ulit yan sa Senate, and then of course to the president. Now, I think the limitation with the veto power is the president can only veto once. So once it passes the legislative side, I think the president needs to sign the bill na. So for this one, I think wala pang news if the bill is being revised, diba? So
Yeah.
I think a common bill that has been vetoed is the train law. So it's a very controversial bill. But yeah, just to give you an example. Now with the SIM card Registration Act, I believe yung ayaw dun ng president is the social media aspect of it. Because in the first part of the hearings or before it was discussed, I think the only limitation or the area of coverage is only the SIM card. It did not include the social media aspect. So correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep.
And this is also the part where I disagree on the bill. No? So I don't like the social media aspect of things
Mhm.
not to be included in the SIM card. And I have a concern with the registration na uh, does that bill require you to only have one SIM card? 'Di ba? Kasi how about for other users that have one Globe line, one Smart line, one Gomo, one Dito, 'di ba?
Yeah.
So especially that other people that have a separate personal number and a work number. So I think yun ang hindi ko alam sa bill if there's that certain kind of limitation. But what I do know about the bill is may some sort of protection siya for the users or for us the citizens.
Mhm.
So uh the subscribe what's the proper term? The telecommunication industry or basically uh, what's the proper term? The telco, sabi natin, the telco or any other related organization is not allowed to disclose the SIM card and who it belongs to.
Mm.
If nangyari yun, I think they will be fined 200,000 pesos.
Mhm.
Which to me is I feel like it's very low.
Mhm.
Uh concerned especially when you take into account the potential damage 'no, kasi depende pa yan kung sinong user lang na especially in the most recent news, a certain, a certain senator got his, Viber number, screenshotted 'di ba, in a certain conversation. So, will not dive into,
Yep.
into camps 'di ba, pero yeah. So, imagine if you're that senator that got exposed, 'di ba? Or whether or not you're good or bad or corrupt or not. 200,000 fine to the one who leaked it or discloses it
Mhm.
is a very low amount concerning the damage. 'Di ba?
Mhm.
So that's just it for me. So I'd like to hear your thoughts if you agree with the veto or not. What parts of the bill are you concerned about? 'Di ba?
Ako, I guess I'll start. I wrote on this bill based on the House of Representatives version. I definitely agree with the early version of the bill, meaning it was a time where it was just a SIM card that should be registered to a person rather than all social media. Um, because I really don't mind that people uh, that people should I don't agree that people should be able to buy SIM cards and not and just be strangers. Um, because like if it can be abused, and I think it is abused nowadays. So I definitely agree with original bill at its state. However, where I agree with veto is the social media aspect of it, because I did not see, I couldn't find the latest version of this, the bicameral one, the one where the Senate and Congress combined um their their bills, which is basically include social media. So I'm not sure if they defined what social media is, because as it is, social media in itself is such a broad term, I think, especially since it's a court of law. So I think I saw an article early, like when it was first announced, like it was first announced that it was going to be sent to the president. where gamers were alarmed by the inclusion of social media because it was such a gray area that a lot were speculating that Discord could be included or Steam could be included. So things that there's just, I think for me, it's things like that should be clarified. Especially if it's gonna be a law, because it's gonna be harder to what is the term for it, to revise. I think there's a legal term for that, right? Which skips my mind right now, but I think it should be clarified what social media is. Because it's gonna affect a lot of people if it's just a gray area, and we know that there are people that will just, let's just say, possibly abuse it because it's not because it's such a broad term. There's just that uh it like there how do I put it? I think, like, in my head, it shouldn't be. I think it should be a thing in its own. It should be its own thing.
Separate bill.
Yeah, exactly. Because I don't. There's in no world right now that I connect my SIM card to my social media accounts. Right? Sure, you use your number to register or to make an account or whatever, but on social medias you can quickly change that. It's not something that's tied to your social media, right? So it really doesn't make sense for me, for my citizen brain, to have people register legally the social media accounts. But SIM cards I kind of get, that's my take on it. Like, TLDR, for those that tuned out after a long while, I agree with the veto, with the social media, with the social media part. The rest of it, I'm totally fine. Go for it. That's my take on it. It's long. I just realized.
Well, ako nag-agree din ako dun sa SIM card. Yun nga, sa SOCMED medyo parang ang daming ang mga loopholes na pwedeng ma-exploit yung mga tao. Lalo na yung mga mahilig magkalat ng kung ano-anong kalokohan sa internet. Tapos inisip ko dyan, yung registration ba sa SIM card, if ever, parang gano'n kaya ka-organized yun? Meaning parang pwede ba nilang i-connect na lang sa national ID yung SIM card mo? Parang gano'n. Tapos lahat ng
I think
mga official info mo nandun na.
I think pwede, because all you need to show, like, in the bill, all you need is to provide a government ID
Yun,
before they
sana
give
ganun
you
na lang.
your
Pero
SIM
yun
card.
nga, sa SOCMED parang ang daming pwedeng mangyaring hindi maganda dun.
Yeah.
So yeah, yun yung akin.
See, Emman, I'm actually curious what he thinks of it.
Let's go!
Bakit mo? Dahil ako yung matanda, ganun. The joke lang.
Wow, let's not.
Grabe si
I
Rampal.
don't use SIM cards kasi I use landline. So, landline ako, landline. Beeper, mga ganyan.
Payful.
Pagers,
Payful.
mga ganyan. Telegram.
So in
Yan ang ano ko eh.
in this episode, I learned Emman only uses landline and only uses Bing.
Ding dong.
Kaya hindi ako makarelate eh, di ba? Kanina, kanina sinasabi, ano yun, yung Civica, tsaka yung Hekasi. Ano nga pala yan? Social studies na yung naabutan
Social
ko.
studies.
OG.
Anyway. Anyway, I share the same opinions with most of you. No? The SIM card, the aim of the SIM card registration per se is very valid naman siya. It's a very, parang, tayo na lang ba yung walang ganun or something. But it is something that should be done, no? again, it's something that's overdue na rin, actually. Dahil ever since with the advent of social media, with the advent of technology, no?
Yeah.
Napakadali na nga na napakadali ng, bumili ng SIM card. The fact that it's openly available, no, to everybody.
Mhm.
Magkano lang naman ang SIM card, 'di ba? So yung SIM card aspect niya that you really have to register. Yeah, that's a valid point, no. Again, there are many things that you have to also consider. Like, I'm not sure if it's already mentioned. Like, how many SIM cards are you allowed to register? No, can you like have 5, no, or 10?
Yeah.
Alam naman natin baka meron kang private number, meron kang work number, no? May mga ganun 'di ba? You have a business line and you have a personal line.
Mhm.
Paano kung gusto mo ma-personal line mo sa ibang network, tapos yung business line mo sa ibang network,
Mhm.
'di ba? Pwede rin 'yun, no? So many things that can happen. So that part, per se, no, simple registration, that's okay. I'm good with that. Now, the social media aspect, wherein you have to, number one is you have to use your real name in social media and all of that. You also have to look at it as to why it's there. No?
Mhm.
The main reason why it's there is to prevent the same kinds of fraud and scams that wherein people, I believe, are using, fake names, fake identities in social media,
Mhm.
no, to scam other people, no? And yun nga, di ba, mga troll farms, no? Mga trolls, di ba? Natin yan, trolls na puro fake account yung gamit. It's a huge problem talaga.
Of course.
Di ba? It's a huge problem, and nobody wants to parang nobody wants to be a victim of that, no? But then again, there's that concern of privacy. And marami ring questions that, branch from that. You also have to check, timely ba yung bill? No? Timely ba yan? Is it timely? Kasi do we even have the infrastructure to actually handle that kind of system, no? Uh, we're talking of data collection here, diba?
Mhm.
And if you're talking about data collection, obviously somebody will handle that. Just like the elections, di ba? Meron tayong third party na nag-handle ng automation. Di ba? Smartmatic.
Mhm.
No. So, this time, ano ba yung mangyayari? Is it gonna be another third party will be handling the data collection and the safekeeping of that data?
Mhm.
Di ba? And if not, if it's the government who's gonna do that, uh, do we even have, yun nga, ano ba yung integrity ng government systems, no?
Mhm.
Sigurado ba tayo na pag government ang nag-handle niyan, ano yung chances that, somebody might, screw it up and magkaroon ng data breach, no? Uh, Kasi if we're gonna talk about government systems per se, I'm sure that if I ask you anong experience niyo sa government systems, 'di ba? 'Di ba? Get the picture now?
Mhm.
So, kung yung mga government systems nga ng mga agencies ngayon, it's not even centralized, 'di ba?
Yep.
Iba-iba sila. Iba-iba sila ng design, iba-iba sila ng provider, iba-iba sila ng who knows, 'di ba? So, if they can't even fix that part, 'di ba?
That's
Imagine anong mangyayari, dadagdagan mo pa niyan,
Yep.
'di ba?
I
'Di
agree.
ba? So it makes things a lot, it's not as easy as doing it per se. You also have to be prepared with the infrastructure to handle it,
Yeah.
'di ba? So it sort of begs the question as to if this bill is actually timely. No?
Yep.
Na parang, ano ba to? Ipapasa ba to dahil election? O, di ba? Or, kasi parang, yeah, andon, yeah, may securities and everything. But before that, you have to have the infrastructure. Di ba?
Mhm.
Yung national ID natin, anong progression? Di ba?
Mm.
Ilang percent? Di ba? Maliit pa, di ba? Wala pa. So, so there are so many things that you have to to consider before you even go there. No? Kasi it's not as simple as it looks. Again, when you're used to seeing systems built, alam mo yung what it takes to build systems and when you're dealing with data such as on this scale and millions of users involved, diba? You have to have, a robust infrastructure. And honestly, if I was to be asked, wala tayo nun.
Yep.
We don't have that yet. So I'm not very confident that my data, whatever data they'll collect from me for this registration act or for even for that social media, I cannot trust them with my data yet.
Yeah.
No. So ang sa akin, the bill is good, ang aim niya is good, but you gotta look before that. No? You gotta look before that. No? Before you even put that into place, you have to have the infrastructure. No? So, yun, that's my take on it.
Pa-fan sign daw pala si Jamie Inoshan.
Si, si Jamie pala to. Hi. Si Boss Jamie. Hi, Jamie.
While you're in
Grabe,
in
pa-fan
sharing
sign
mode.
na. Ako dapat yung nagpapa-fan sign sa'yo, sir.
Yan. Pero looking at the bill, I think the ones that will hold our data is the public telecommunications entity or those that will sell the SIM cards. So I think it's even more sketchy. Like
Yeah, di ba?
in the greater picture for me, when I read it, I'm like, okay, sure, fine. It's probably gonna be with like the big telcos. However, there are third party SIM card sellers. How how will they secure my data and send it to the telco and like be safe? So it's like yeah. I'm pretty sure like they probably discussed these things with
yeah.
the telcos and saw to it that it would be done in and it would be done well and safely and all that. But as like for example, I live in a province. I buy a SIM card from a sari-sari store, Like how does that work? Right?
I think for that, di ba, parang sa ibang bansa kasi like in Taiwan, they don't sell SIM cards kasi on the side streets, no?
Yeah. Usually kiosk ng
You really get it from the stores
the
ng
telco.
telco, yeah.
Or at least the kiosk of the telco.
So I think that's one way to do it, no?
Yeah.
You restrict the selling element. But then again, when you do that, it's gonna be a big change, no? It's a big shift from the status quo. So papasok naman dyan yung business aspect. May
Yeah.
mawawalan ng trabaho.
Yeah.
Diba? So so again, there are so many things that you have to consider talaga.
Paano na yung mga SIM card sa sa Green
Diba?
Hills?
Diba? And how are you even gonna start with that?
Yeah.
How are you even gonna enforce that? Yun pa yun eh, yung
The enforcement is
enforcement side. Oo.
is actually
Kani
harder.
kasi nandiyan na yun eh, nandiyan na yan. Nandiyan na yung mga nagbebenta, may mga stock na yan. Ano gagawin mo? Kukolektahin mo lahat yan? Diba?
Yeah.
Anong gagawin mo? I-raid mo lahat yan? Diba? Hindi, I don't think, no, I don't think it's that easy, no, to come up with one word solution that applies for everyone.
Yeah.
No? Kasi nga may businesses na involved. So, so there's a lot to really think about. No, kaya nga the timing to me is really parang minamadali yata tayo. No? Parang, is it really the time for to just pass it like that? No?
Mm.
Parang
Are
biglaan
there,
eh.
parang, ano ba, in aid of helping the people ba talaga to? O is it in aid of, you know, in aid
Unang
of election?
sendes.
In aid of election.
Mm.
Diba? Because obviously there's, I'll be blunt with it. So obviously there's someone who wants to take credit for that. I mean,
Yeah.
imagine if you were the one who was able to,
Principal author.
di ba?
Yeah.
What kind, di ba? Ang popularity boost yun sa'yo, di ba? So the timing is also questionable to me.
Mismo.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. Um, interesting topics. It's kind of in a really off topic. Like it's really refreshing to be talking about like general technology
Hmm.
rather than gadgets and gizmos aplenty.
Yeah.
If you know the reference.
Yeah,
Kudos
kasi
to you.
we have so much of that naman na available on our site. So I think
Yeah.
it's nice to
To be talking about other
to
stuff.
go
Yeah.
outside of that. No?
Yeah.
Kasi we always talk about phones, we always talk about laptops, we always talk about PCs, we always talk about smartwatch. Yes, these are, it's good to talk about these things, but there are many pressing issues right now, no,
There's a lot of relevant tech
that have to
related.
be that affect, that affect not only the tech industry itself, but the whole Philippines,
Yeah.
diba? The entire population. So yeah, it's good to talk about it. No?
If you guys enjoy these types of topics, if you guys are watching the live stream, if you guys are singing on the podcast, give us feedback. Tell us what you enjoy more. This kind of discussions, or do you guys want the actual hard text? We're willing to adjust and
Yeah.
listen to you guys.
Tsaka curious din ako, mamimigay ba sila ng free load?
May
Paano pag
monthly
nawala mo
allowance.
yung
Meron ba
cellphone mo?
load allowance per month, no? Pag
May
gano'n.
monthly allowance.
Alam mo, like in relation to the SIM registration app, it makes sense for postpaid users kasi you give up your you need an ID to register for a postpaid account naman eh. So so it kind of makes sense. Well, halos ganun na nga for postpaid. Prepaid yung medyo sus.
Oo, tsaka parang ano yun nga, it also begs the question as to do you go with everybody postpaid, 'di ba? Kasi sa ibang bansa gano'n, 'di ba?
Talaga.
Walang 'di ba sa US wala 'di ba walang prepaid do'n? Wala.
Ganun yata pero
Very limited,
mas ginagamit ng
parang
mga
postpaid,
tourists and stuff maybe.
'di ba?
Wala, kailangan talaga nung
Ah,
prepaid for like even tourists.
yeah. No, I guess for a specific group of users you do.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But Grant has a good point na parang nawala yung cellphone mo. Do you, kanino mo i-report yun? Sa telco? Sa gobyerno? Sa DITC?
Yan yung mga kailangan nilang
Exactly.
talunin.
That's another problem, no, that we have.
Sa DTI?
We have so many government agencies, no, that are, some of them are parang, if you look at it, parang some of them are redundant, no,
Hmm.
na parang they're doing the same thing. They're so parang so yan. So yeah, again, there are so many 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 things that you have to consider for that. And it has to be very, very clear kanino ka pupunta kapag may ganito kang problema,
Yeah.
sino nag-handle ng data, how is data supposedly protected, 'di ba?
Like,
How are you gonna parang if you wanna request, say, a call, gusto mong malaman, for example, lahat ng call logs mo or something, or gano'n. Is that even gonna be tracked? Gano'n.
yeah, true.
So Ang dami talaga. I can't even think of where to start if I'm gonna be formulating this kind of law. No?
Mm.
Kaya it takes, I guess, I think that it should go through a very, very, very careful phase of planning. No?
Mhm.
And again, even before that, you have to establish that infrastructure for the system. No? Kasi even like gaano kaganda yung registration system mo kung hindi naman ma-access yung website mo dahil, sablay yung server na binili mo or something or hindi maayos yung provider, 'di ba? Wala ring mangyayari, 'di ba? Just like what's happening to some of the government systems that we have right now, 'di ba? Yung sa passport registration lang 'di ba?
Pagulo.
Magulo. So,
Actually, kailangan ko magpa-schedule ng ng passport whatever.
'di ba?
David,
Yan yung
baka
ibig
naman.
kong sabihin kanina eh. Yan yung ibig kong sabihin sa sana organized yung proseso eh. Kasi kung magulo na,
Hiwa-hiwalay kasi, 'di
yun
ba?
nga
It's
eh.
not centralized eh. May kanya-kanya silang bidding, may kanya-kanya silang provider, may kanya-kanya silang sistema, no? So
Mm.
it's not really parang kaya it's not so easy to just get information from like if you wanna kasi ideally, 'di ba, baka ano to, but ideally if you want information from any government agency, it should be readily available na hindi mo na kailangan magpalipat-lipat, 'di ba?
Mm.
Dapat available na agad 'yan. That's linked to your national ID, 'di ba?
Yeah. True.
Kaya nga nandun 'yan eh. 'Di ba? So that pag kailangan mo ng info from ano yung SSS records ko, hanapin lang natin diyan. Sa system nandun na lahat, connected na 'yon. O ano yung travel records ko, hanapin din sa immigration, nandun yan. So, I guess that's one thing that, one of just many things that has to be looked at
Yeah.
before they even think about this bill, no? Yun.
I think like as you mentioned earlier, the
Mm.
intention is good, but I think
Mm.
there's more to it that should be looked.
Than just like that, no?
Yeah.
Parang you can't
Sabi
just
ni
put that into place na wala kang robust infrastructure.
Yeah. Sabi ni John Stephen Reyes, good evening. Kamusta? Andito ka every episode. Love you. Di ba po yung mga social media accounts and mga e-banking gumagamit ng number, siguro kapag nagre-register na yung mga SIM, dapat may matindi silang protection para sa mga tama. May pros and cons din talaga. I agree
Kaya
that
yeah.
with that, especially with the rise of like my e-banking like Maya and the other services, like because you use your number and
Yep.
if it's linked to my stuff, like oh my god. Like if that leaks and that's gonna be a whole different mess.
Ngayon pa nga lang may dami ng reports ng breach, data breach, stuff.
Sabi ni John Stephen Reyes, Emman evaluates ba ang title ng live? Charis.
Tsaka one more thing, no, you have to get you also have to consider how yung tawag doon, how would the public take it, no?
Mm.
Diba? Because obviously you're gonna get a lot of kumbaga parang may tiwala ba talaga yung tao sa systems, 'di ba? Can you really get the people to trust that system that you're gonna build? If
Yeah.
yung mga sistema mo ngayon may problema na, 'di ba?
Mm.
Kung hindi mo nga maayos yung sistema mo ngayon, dadagdagan mo pa ng bago, 'di ba? So how can you get cooperation for that, 'di ba?
Yeah.
Mapapa-cooperate mo ba yung mga tao na mako-compel mo ba sila na mag-abide doon sa gustong mangyari, 'di ba? But when you do not have anything to guarantee, no, na yung data nila will be safe.
Paano na yung ₱1 GCash padala ni Grant kung na-breach yung niya, diba?
Diba? Kung ikaw board person, palitan 0917, then yung last digit lang palitan mo every time, malalaman mo na kung sino to. Diba?
Yeah.
Wild nun. Sabi ni Nefali, the intention is good, but because our politics is bad, everything gets tainted. How are you doing, Jason? Thanks for dropping by.
Jason nga pala yan, no? Ay, si Boss Jason.
Jason Dairit.
Boss Jason, we miss you.
Miss you. Get together soon. I agree with like everyone's point, especially Emman, that we should ginagaling sa Emman masyado. Ginagalingan mo masyado Emman eh.
Sabi ko sa iba talaga pag bago kang gising, di ba?
Gising na gising ang diwa kasi fresh.
Fresh.
Oh.
Nakatamang thoughts.
Dapat pala lagi ano eh.
Di pa ako kumakain yan, di ba?
Grabe. Dapat pala laging bagong gising si Emman pag ano eh, bago mag-podcast.
Parang diesel engine tayo, sir. Kailangan mo ipainit mo.
Hindi, ako yun pag umaga kasi medyo pag kahabangan ko lang, huwag mo ko kausapin, kasi di kita sasagutin, kind of diesel ako eh. Maya-maya pa ako, sisipa yung utak ko eh. But going back, I think like before things like these are implemented, I think there should be a clear way for implementation, because I think implementation execution is a bigger problem. I like the way I imagine it in my head is like a company suddenly putting up a project but not adding in more people, so the people the current employees will be like, bakong trabaho. I think that's how my head like imagines it to be in a corporate setting, is yung parang may bago tayong trabaho pero wala tayong bagong tao, so ito yung bago mong trabaho. From nowhere, multiple hats. Sabi ni Jason, Emman, para sa Senado ay paglalaban ka hanggang sa dulo. Gobyernong to patangat ang buhay lahat. Grabe talaga.
Uy, grabe naman.
Ano yung
How pa eh.
how? Yung candy. Candy ba yun?
Candy yun.
Akala ko house salt.
Yung milk na ano. Ay, ano nga pala yan? Sorry, hindi ko nga pala naabutan yan. Ano nga pala naabutan ko? Skittles. Skittles na naabutan ko. Hindi ko nga pala naabutan yung mga how systems. No?
Yeah.
So, I think that they should fix those first. No?
Yep.
Fix those first and make sure when you can prove to the people na kaya mong mag-handle ng ganyang system,
Sensitive info.
then that's the time you even start thinking about that. Kasi pag wala, hindi mo ako personally hindi mo ako mapapa-register. dahil wala akong tiwala sa I don't trust the system right now.
Ako honestly postpaid ako, so my
Cuts out of the bag.
My info is with my telco. So, like, walang magawa doon.
Mayabang pala to.
Pero kasi ako personally mas convenient ang postpaid. Pero because I don't have to keep loading up my stuff. But I agree. Like Emman, these are things that I never even thought about, like the infrastructure and how things will be done. Good stuff. Buta na talaga bagong gising si Emman.
I guess kahit papaano I learned some things during my BA days when I was still working for a software company. And this was always our problems. One problem how secure the system will be, are they even ready for the system?
Mhm.
No? Parang how would it be received? Diba? Mako-convince mo ba yung mga users mo to shift to this kind of system, lalo na yung mga, alam mo na, yung ibang tao na hindi easy for them to to change, no?
Mm.
From what they're used to. Let's admit it, ganun maraming Pilipino ganun eh.
Ah.
Diba? Kung ano yung nakasanayan nila,
Yan
pag
mismo.
inainan mo sila ng bagong sistema, usually resistant yan to change, no? So there's also that education part, no? That you
Na-imagine ko like given that.
uh,
Na-imagine ko may bibili sa Green Hills tapos na implement na yung yung act. Let's just say like theoretical.
uh,
Tapos may bibili ng SIM card tapos hingin na ID. Sigurado yan aawayin yung nagbebenta na SIM card.
ID?
Karen.
Ba't kailangan pa? Nung panahon ko, hindi naman kailangan.
ID?
Kahapon di naman kailangan.
Di ba?
Kuhang-kuha.
Kahapon lang pala eh.
Diba?
Gusto mo nun?
May mga ganun talaga. Like, I like listening and watching people. So it's like, it's something that you hear a lot. Na parang, but ngayon walang ganito? But ngayon may ganito na? Hindi rin ako sinabihan. Kailangan na ID. Wala namang akong dala ID.
See?
Oh, yung mga ganun.
Don't do this to me.
You don't do this to me.
Yun pa nga eh. Yun pa isang thing eh. Support.
Mm.
Who would handle yung mga issues, di ba? Kanina, yung support system mo ba is also good enough. Di ba?
Kawawa yung mga... I think
pag may nagsumbong ba, sorry.
Nagulang.
Yeah.
Tsaka pag may nagsumbong ba, magtuturuan-turuan ba yan o may aako ba ng kasalanan? Kasi ngayon sa mga ibang branches ganun eh. Kausap mo si ganito.
Punta kay ganyan.
Punta kay ganyan. Pagdating mo doon, ay hindi, kay ano yan.
Diba?
Wala na. Tapos
Exactly.
na. Yung information mo, kalat na.
Exactly. And anyway, the point is you have to fix the very core yung current natin na because it's not really convincing eh. It's not really convincing that you can probably build a good system, but without an infrastructure for that, wala din. It's just gonna be the same as yung existing natin. So, diba?
So I think Emman trying to say, prove yourself first.
Yeah. Oh.
Yep.
Prove that you can do it before you actually do it. Based on what is implemented right now.
Yeah.
Things like the national ID and that kind of stuff. But yeah. Anything else?
Do we even have to mention red tape?
Actually,
do we even have to mention the politics involved? Diba?
naisip ko dito, pinakawawa yung small sellers ng SIM card.
Yeah. Of course, it's always the end, yung nasa dulo, yung pinakamaliit. Siya talaga yung hardest hit.
Sorry ito sa comment ni John Stephen Reyes. Siguro,
Paradox.
unahin muna nila yung problema sa di ka makakuha na ID kasi kailangan mo na ID.
Actually.
Exactly. One of the things.
Hindi kailangan mo ilagay yung cellphone mo. Cellphone number mo.
Ay, nako.
Diba?
Pilipinas kung mahal.
Malayo pa, guys. Malayo pa. It's not yet,
In fairness, mapenta si John Stephen Reyes.
As much as we want it to be there now, maganda na sana na meron na tayong ganyan, but you also have to consider na yung mga current nga natin hindi pa ayos.
Yung mga voters na wala.
Yung simpleng ang pag-schedule ng passport appointment, 'di ba?
Diffie, baka naman, maybe, please.
Baka naman.
That's speaking from experience, no?
Pa-ID naman kayo.
Talagang hindi lang mahirap, talagang ang dami pang pasikot-sikot, 'di ba?
True.
So, yeah.
I
Marami pang gusot na dapat ayusin before they even think of that.
I think it's again, I'm just reiterating what has been said. I think it's meant well, but I think there are other things that should be improved before we get to a place where we can implement it properly. Because at the end of the day, a lot of the laws that are already in place lack the implementation for it to be.
Yeah,
For
it's always that, ano.
So parang,
Uh,
as much as I agree with it, a lot of the points made me realize parang we need better implementation and execution of all these laws. Yeah.
medyo malayo pa tayo, guys.
Oh.
Malayo pa talaga.
Marami
Oo.
pang kakainin.
We're not there yet.
Bakit bes yung kakainin? Di ba sasakit yung
Hayaan
tiyan
mo
mo
na.
nun?
Hayaan mo na. Parang manok.
Ay pa iluto, eh.
Wala, pag gutom na, syempre.
Sakit tiyan mo niyan. Di mo lang tutong eh. Tapos kakainin ko pa yung tutong kaya sabi ka.
Kasama pa yung husk nun para sure yung busog mo.
Di mo lang bigas palay.
Rekta na.
Rekta palay. All right. Oh my god. Time flies when you're having a fun discussion.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Before we end it, you typical what can the viewers and the listeners expect from you guys? Let's start with Grant dahil alam kong maraming nakapila sa platform.
So, for this month, we have 2 build guides.
Yun.
Tama, May? Yep, May na pala.
Yeah.
For this month, we have two build guides, but it's the other way around na we are not the ones drafting the parts. So, AData and Palette actually reach out to us to review. Kaya siya may air quotes kasi it's not a full review na every part of the build, but it's
Overall
basically us
system.
telling to us evaluating the build na sinend nila. So to give you a guess, the one I have with me is I think a 65k peso gaming PC. So I'll comment on the part selection, how the budget is distributed, and of course the performance. No, so I think it's a good change of pace na versus on our side that keeps on recommending the parts. No, at least you can see the difference if on how we will build this given the budget, and of course yung use case din ng PC. Now, I think this is a good step because this is not a pre-built PC in terms of the cyber power ones or yung parang katulad sa ROG and Legion na power desktop siyang binebenta. This will actually be offered by stores, that they will recommend the exact same configuration. No? So I think this is a good step for PC builders, especially bumababa yung prices, to see the performance of these builds. Kasi 'di ba when you're searching for PCs may mga brochure na ito yung gaming package. So basically ganito yun but on a more expensive level since look at the RGB, 'di ba lahat meron. But yeah, do look forward to that. And of course more Alder Lake laptop reviews and probably Computex related news, 'di ba? Intel GPU nyo baka naman.
Yan na.
So
Art
yeah, that's
gaming.
it for me.
But for the listeners, can you Give them a visual of what's lighting up in the current system. Kung ano yung RGB.
Actually, the RGB in this system is the case, the fans, the GPU, the memory, and the SSD. So yung cooler kasi natin sa stock cooler, which we'll discuss later if it's a good choice in a 65K build or not. So do stay tuned for that. And I
Kasi-
think yung RGB.
Go.
I mean RGB power supply. No. It's a regular non-lighting power supply.
Kasi on camera medyo maliwanag lang yung motherboard.
Yeah.
Hindi ko
No,
nakikita.
that's the memory actually. Memory and SSD yung sobrang liwanag.
Yeah.
And
All I
then
see is
behind it
like-
kasi for the viewers is the test bench. Doon naman sa test bench you have the motherboard, the AIO, the GPU, the memory, and the PSU. Plus the RGB mic, yung quadcast is HyperX. RGB mo naman din lahat sila. Podcast mics, HyperX. Maybe please.
Maybe please, maybe. Kulang lang daw yung case talaga yung RGB para bongga na. RGB daw yung case, sabi niyo.
Yes, it's the RGB case yung front panel niya.
Yung front panel.
Yeah,
So
the front panel.
abangan nyo na lang yung
Yeah.
yung photos ni Grant para makita yung case, no? But it looks like honestly it's exciting for as someone that does not know much about PCs despite being a tech publication. Exciting stuff. So Emman, what's on your plate, sir?
Well, we just released the review of the Huawei Soundjoy
Oh yeah.
kahapon.
Ano pa sa
Okay.
likod mo? Sa manual.
Ano pa siya, di pa siya kinukuha eh. So, ano pa siya. Anyway, more reviews from me, I guess. We're currently reviewing this, the Oppo Enco Air 2.
Oh.
Na may transparent cap, yung kanyang very nice.
Transparent siya. I thought it was like a light.
Very
I
nice.
thought it was a light bulb.
Very nice looking case. No?
Mukhang nightlight eh.
Watch night.
And
Good.
as to whether it's as good as it looks, you'll find out. You'll find out soon. And mostly, we have a ton of events this week. No?
Actually, that's
We
very
have a ton of events. Doctor Strange is gonna be showing this week.
yeah.
For those who are waiting. No?
Mhm.
Meron dyan dalawang maswerteng nila lang. Makaka-advance screening bukas. Di ba? Enjoy, guys. Tapos bago nyo kami i-spoil na.
Sumabog lahat.
Namatay lahat.
And we also have an upcoming campaign with Huawei where we talk about some of their newest products, I think. Can't divulge much more than that, pero it's a work in progress. It's looking nice. Yep, ano pa ba yung mga kailangan ko reviewin? Ano pa ba? I think meron pa akong mga TWS dito and some phones that I have to review. Yeah, more on reviews talaga for me, no? So yeah, please do expect a lot of reviews. for the coming weeks.
Exciting pati yung build guide na hindi si Grant yung nag-build. Fun stuff. Ikaw, Migs, anong sa'yo?
Tuloy lang yung news writing tsaka yung event bukas.
Yan.
Yes. Let's go.
Abangan niyo yung article ni Migs doon.
Abangan ko ng spoilers yun. Hindi, joke lang.
Holiday bukas.
Naging ganito? Halos nagulat kami. Kinamento lahat eh.
Hindi binudburan ng hindi binudburan ng
May
spoiler.
timestamp pa eh. Bandang mga 2 minutes, ganyan.
Blow by blow.
It's not blow.
Reaction video.
Habang nanonood mismo live. Ingay sa sinehan.
Nag-record pero nakatutok sa mukha ni Migs. Oh, grabe.
Oh,
Hala.
yung doktor. Mali pa eh.
Sabi ni John Stephen Reyes, hello daw. Sir Grant, sabi ng Meralco.
Kaway-kaway.
Kaway sa
Kaway-kaway.
Meralco.
Good luck.
Good luck. Yep.
Masarap daw maningil. Masarap
So
maningil.
guys, send ano na lang, tawag dun. Send super
Gcash.
chats and super stickers sa YouTube to support my Meralco bill.
Straight na sa Gcash. Ano daw number mo, Grant?
Sa akin naman, I think I'll be mostly on news. There's probably gonna be surprise reviews. Probably. But yeah. That was not gonna lie, that was a fun discussion on stuff that we're generally not discussing. If that made sense.
Oo nga pala, no? Again, for those who haven't tried it yet, try the new Maya app. No?
Yeah.
Paymaya just got, it got sort of born, or it evolved. Paymaya evolves. No?
Yeah.
Tumaya.
Yeah.
So Maya na siya ngayon. No?
Check na si Maya.
No, it's still pretty clear. There's gonna be a video daw. Sabi ni Gian, there's gonna be a video daw that's coming out this week.
Abangan
Yun.
yan. Abangan yan.
So very nice, very nice.
So if for those that are listening to this podcast, like later on, like maybe a week or two, in the future, it might have been out already. Just check out our YouTube channel, Gadget Pilipinas. If you guys wanna check out our articles on the stuff we discussed today, it's on gadgetpilipinas.net. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Nasabi ko na YouTube. You guys can check us out on Gadget Pilipinas. Anything else before we wrap it up? No? Oh, congratulations to the winners of the Neon package.
Nga pala, yeah, congrats. Congratulations to them.
Recently lang sila na-announce, no?
Sobrang congrats to them. Swerte nila. Because that kit isn't gonna be available anywhere else.
Ever.
It's not gonna be sold. No?
Oh, congratulations.
When
I saw the list.
Pag may nakita kayong giveaway nun, sali kayo guys. Sayang yun. There are other. I think there are many other publications and I think streamers then who are giving away. So sali kayo doon. Sayang. It's a really really nice to collect.
Merch.
Merch.
Valorant merch if you guys are into Valorant.
Yep.
Congrats again.
Yep.
I do believe we can expect a Weekend Tech later Thursday. I think it goes up every Thursday at 2 p.m. if I remember correctly. If you guys just want to brush up on some of the news in tech, and if you guys want to check out our news like every day, again, you can check us out on Facebook and all the social medias. Gadget Pilipinas. I think that's it for tonight. Thank you for the discussion. Thank you for everyone that's dropped by. The Louis, Henry, Jamie, everyone.
The Louis.
The Louis. Parang parang pamilya. John Stephen Reyes, Jamie, thanks. Jason, thank you guys for dropping by. For those if you guys want to check out the podcast pala, for those that are listening that are watching the live stream, you can check us out on whichever podcast platform you prefer. It's gonna be up there. Blip Bytes. That's it for us, episode 6. Thank you. This is an end. Bye bye.
Bye.
Ingat. Stay safe.
Hope you guys have fun.